Hey, this is Dave Spitz at California Strength. I'm here with Dylan Cooper, headed to World Juniors in just a few short days. We're going to talk to you today about the front rack and the dip of the jerk. So the dip is one of those areas of the jerk that's oftentimes overlooked. A lot of errors can be produced if you don't do this part of the movement correctly though. So we'll start with the front rack. We'll talk about the tension points in the body. We'll talk about the depth that we'd like you to descend to. We'll talk about the tempo of the movement, and then we'll talk about just some feelings that you should probably have as you execute the dip. Okay, with the front rack, the first thing that we want to clear up here is this carrying angle that exists in the body naturally. So his hand doesn't track directly underneath his shoulder. He's designed this way for a reason, so he can feed himself. So this carrying angle is going to come into play as we address the bar and set up for our dip and drive. Go ahead, come to the front rack. So you can see in this position, his hands are just lined up with the elbows, but everything is outside of the shoulder as a result of that carrying angle. In fact, if you were to take his hand off the bar here, you can see how this front rack exists pretty naturally. We'll put this bar back in there. The tension points in the body in this front rack, we want the shoulders up and the tension to be in the lats and through the pillar. So we want his back braced through this transverse abdominis, the weight belt that is made up of those deeper abdominal muscles. Hands are going to be relaxed, so not a death grip on the bar here. Next thing we're going to consider is depth and tempo. So these two things kind of go hand in hand. There's really two schools of thought. There is a short dip that's a little quicker, more abrupt, trying to take advantage of bar oscillation. And then there's a slower, longer dip. So a little more controlled, trying to preserve all the qualities that we're looking for in terms of bar path and making sure that the movement is done correctly. So one really easy way to assign the depth of your dip is just to look at your power position. So if he comes down into his clean power position, this depth is approximately the same for snatch, clean, and your dip in the jerk. Finally, let's talk about some feeling. So as you come down into this dip, one of the things that a lot of athletes will feel is getting pulled forward here. So we want to make sure that you feel your core vertical, that you feel the quads load, and that you feel the weight shift kind of from the ankles just to the middle of the foot as you descend into your dip. If you can feel those three things, core, quads, and the slight weight shift to the middle of the foot, you're probably going to be in really good shape. This is Dave Spitz at Cal Strength with Dylan, about to go grub on some sushi in Japan and hopefully bring home a medal for the USA. Appreciate you watching, and tune in next week.